Welcome once again back for a very special edition of this week's Indie Power Rankings, because this, my friends, will be the last edition of the Indie Power Rankings for this week, and I will explain more about that in the latter part of the video. But also I want to explain that the reason why this is the first time in quite a while since I've actually done an Indie Power Rankings video, it's because last week I was a little under the weather, and 2 weeks ago I was on vacation and unable to record this week's Indie Power Ranking video for the weeks of August 1st and August 8th. But either way, we're back for another Indie Power Rankings video, and because this is the last video, it's going to be a little bit longer than the previous ones. So let's jump right into the list as we kick it off with this week's People's Champ, Mark House. I apologize, by the way, in advance if I mispronounce people's names, but either way, Mark House but it seems as though Mark House has been here before and is now back after going through a rough patch. But the last weekend saw Mark dominate the online voting competition and also win a big gauntlet match at KDW last Saturday night. So good on you, Mark, for returning to the People's Champion on the as the People's Champion on the Indie Power Rankings. And now we jump into the honorable mention as Zaya, Martin Stone, Yuko Sakaguchi, Alexis Neva, and Silverant are this week's honorable mentions for the Indie Power Rankings. The only one I can talk about is Silverant, as I know Silverant is with the Colony in Chikara. As I can tell you this much, the Colony is by far one of my most favorite factions on the Independents, and always find new ways to entertain and excite the audiences that they're in front of. So now, without further ado, let's jump into this week's list, as number 5 this week is Nick Richards from CWF Mid-Atlantic, as he was this year's winner of the prestigious Weaver Cup. And this week is Nick Richards' first time in the top 10 on the Indie Power Rankings, for a good reason though, as he defeated Eric the Dragon Andrews in the semifinals of the CWF Mid-Atlantic tournament last Saturday, and later that day he defeated Eric Royal to win the tournament and become the Weaver Cup champion, going 2-0 for the weekend. What has always likely cost the Weaver Cup champion an easy number one is that the tournament is spread out among multiple shows and multiple weeks, so it's hard to gauge how much momentum once voting comes around. But I can agree with the Indie Power Rankings list maker that going 2-0 and winning a tournament for your first time, especially a prestigious tournament like the Weaver Cup, does net you, or should net you, the number 5 spot on the Indie Power Rankings. So now we head to Konosuke Takashita, who had truly a week where his talents were tested, because he defended his KOD Openweight Championship against Toru Awashia at DDT on August 8th, last Monday, to retain the title, actually 2 weeks ago. and then lost the title, or then lost to Trans Am Hiroshi in a tuxedo match that Wednesday, and then the next day he defeated Tomoitsu Matsuga in the first round, and then defeated Kishuki Ishii in the semifinals, and then defeated Hiroshima to win the DDT Grand Sumo tournament on August 11th. And then on August 13th, he teamed with Yukiyoshi Sakaguchi, who was earlier on the list, and Hiroshima to defeat those guys to go 5-1 for the week. And it is an awesome showing and a perfect reason why he earned the number 4 spot in the Indie Power Rankings. And Dash Chisako, the international influence this week on the Indie Power Rankings, as we get another new talent from the land of the rising sun. He is one half of the Diana Tag Team Championships at SGPW on August 14th, where this is the first time I'm actually doing the Indie Power Rankings in the 3 weeks that I've done it, that I've actually seen a woman on the Indie Power Rankings. Good on you. As she defeated Mika Iwata in the qualifying match for the number 1 contendership tournament, and then defeated Alex Lee in the semifinals, and then Cassandra Miyagi in the finals to become the number 1 contender for the SGPW Heavyweight Championship. And then on August 14th, and then again on August 14th, she teamed with Alex Lee at the K Dojo to defeat Bambi and Manami Kata to go 4-0 for the weekend. A flawless weekend. In no uncertain terms, would net anybody a top spot or should net anybody on the top spot in the Indie Power Rankings. But if you're doing it in Japanese women's wrestling especially, you deserve a high spot, because just about how hard-hitting Japanese wrestling is, especially women's wrestling. Now we move to the Iron Demon. The Iron Demon Shane Mercer, who makes his return to the top 10 in a huge way, as he defeated Bullet Club member Chase Owens and Chip Day in a 3-way dance on August 12th, last Friday, and then defeated Brutus Dillon in a no-disqualification match for FWF on August 13th, and then he won a 40-man number 1 contenders battle royal on that same night. That's right, last Saturday. 1 week ago, he won a 40-man number 1 contendership battle royal. The same night he defeated Brutus Dillon in a no DQ match, despite a recent knee injury. If winning a battle royal and a no DQ match in the same night wasn't enough, he had a recent knee injury, but nothing can slow down this beast as he continues to pick up momentum. And it seems like he is set to be on a collision course with the beast Kago Kong for the FWF title. Will he finally be able to overcome his biggest career challenge in Dumb Monster? I honestly have never heard of Shane Mercer, but it seems like this kid is gathering momentum over in the Midwest region, so good on you, Shane Mercer, for finishing number 2 and having in the power rankings this week and having quite a weekend 1 week ago. So now we head up to number 1, as Joseph Schwartz is the number 1 this week for the Indie Power Rankings. Death matches rule the number 1 spot for the Indie Power Rankings this week, as he is the second number 1. He is, I'm going to say, one of the first people in 2016 to get his second ranking, his second number 1 ranking of the year, as the gears of Schwartz keep on rolling and swept through the voters this week, as the current NWA United States Champion and UPW Champion, had an awesome weekend as he teamed with the Zodiac and Amazing Maria at the IW Mid-South show on August 11th and lost to Thunder Kitty and the Brotherhood. Wow, that's a strange way to you're singing the praises of the guy and then you start with a loss. Okay. But then on August 12th, he caught fire. It started with a victory over Juan at WCWO, and then he defeated Shad Sato in the first round to retain his UPW title at UPW's show. Then he defeated Darkchild to retain the title again, and then he defeated Insane Lane to win the Lord of the Hardcore Cup at UPW's show last weekend. And then he went on August 14th at MIP to retain his NWA United States title against Shadow Shato. And then, if that wasn't enough, he went against Shadow Shato again for the third time in 3 days. For the third time in 2 days, actually. He faced Shadow Shato again, this time at SNPW, to retain the NWA title once again in the same night as he faced him in MIPW to go 6-1 for the week. That's right, he went 6-1 for the week, an amazing weekend for Gears of Schwartz as his stock continues to be on the rise. I'm not going to throw in the advertisement for his shirts being on sale at Pro Wrestling Tees, but you can read it yourself. So good on you, Gears of Schwartz, for winning the King of the Hardcore tournament, or the Lord of the Hardcore tournament, and retaining your NWA US title and UPW championship in the same night. But unlike every other week, the video doesn't end here, as we are now going into the voter breakdown for the tag team Indy Power Rankings. That's right, we're going to show some love to the Indy tag team division, and we start with the People's Champ. The People's Champs is the Protein Pack, and it looks like they're a 6-man team. They remind me of Milk Chocolate, only there's 3 of them. But either way, Protein Pack, Mike Seaway, Dynamite Davis, and TJ Blade, the new NWA, new UWA Elite Tag Team and Trios Champions, find their way to the bottom of the list for the Indy Power Rankings this week for the Tag Team Division. Now we move. There's no honorable mention for the Tag Team Division. Why, I don't know. Why don't you just ask them? Because this isn't my site. I'm just shining a spotlight on the Indies. So either way, Tribe Vanguard finished number 5 this week for the Tag Team Indy Power Rankings, and that is BXB, Hulk, and Yamamoto. I remember these guys from when I used to frequent Dragon Gate USA shows back in the day, but now they are over in Japan fighting for the home base in Dragon Gate, and they are in the top 5 for the tag teams for the very first time, as they had a very busy week teaming with Don Fuji at Dragon Gate show last Monday against the Jimmies, Jimmy Kagatora and Ryo Jimmy Sato, as well as the Stalker Ichikawa twice. And then they teamed with Yoshi Santa Maria on August 11th to defeat Dragon Kid, Yida, and Takehiro Yamura, and then fought Cyber Kong and Shingo Takagi to a time limit draw on the 14th to go 3-0-1. I can honestly tell you from watching them in the past that Yamamoto and BXB Hulk are very talented in the ring, and if they're actually getting attention, then you know they're worth keeping your eyes on, because they're just going to keep going up and up and up, as they are very talented people in the ring. Los Japanese del Mal, as Daisuke Hanaka and Doki. It's the very first time that they've been rated on the Indie Power Rankings, as they dominated IWRG in Mexico last weekend, as they teamed with Yakazawa to defeat Black Dragon, Fireman, and Omega on August 10th, and then defeated Tigre Rojo and Tigre Rojo Jr. at the event on August 14th, 4 days later, and then they teamed with Metallico 2 on August 14th as well. Wait. And then they teamed with Yokozawa at IWRG on the same day to defeat Dragonfly and Perda, Azteca, and Vampiro at Metallico 2 on August 14th to go 3-0 for the week. They definitely had enough wins to achieve the number one, but a couple of well-known U.S. title holders beat them out this week. Shima and Gamma. You just never know who in Dragon Gate will produce week in and week out, as two tag teams for the Dragon Gate Tag Team Division have landed in the top 5 in this week's Power Rankings. With a serious lack of multiple wins teams this week, multiple win teams this week, there really wasn't much to choose from. But that doesn't discount the quality for the matches that we saw this week, as the Overgeneration defeated Fujita Nakamura and Masek, his partner, again at the Dragon Gate show last Thursday, and then defeated El Lindemann and that same guy again that same day to go 2-0 for the week. I apologize in advance for not trying to pronounce his name, but I'd rather not try and pronounce his name than butcher it completely. So, I'm sorry. Despite multiple mentions in the rankings for the stable this year, this is the first ranking for this duo in 2016, so good on you, Overgeneration, and good on you, Tribal Vanguard, but for making it on the top 5 this week for the Indie Power Rankings in tag teams. And now we move to the top 2, the current, or as they said down here, a couple of well-known title holders in the U.S. have taken the top 2 spots, and the first team we're talking about is the Hooligans, Devin and Mason Cutter. For the second straight week, the Cutter brothers grab this number 2 spot, as they are the full Impact Pro Tag Team Champions, and they rode their titles to another ranking, another top 2 ranking this week. Despite being behind at the mid-year mark, they are in the hunt for the top spot as we move to the last quarter of 2016, as they hold 2 tag team titles, the SWF and the FIP tag team titles, as it defeated Patrick and Leo Bryan at Full Impact Pro show last Friday to retain the titles. Much like DHS, it was all about the titles and name value for the Hooligans that helped them propel to yet another high ranking in the tag team top 5. And, well, nothing better than honoring thy veterans, because Danny Math and Monster Mac, the Hit Squad, land in the number 1 spot for the Indie Power Rankings Tag Team Top 5 this week. The Hit Squad are 2 veterans in the Indies, as Danny Math and Monster Mac have been at it for a very long time, and chalk it up as their 3rd number 1 ranking for the Hit Squad in 2016, as their continue their dominance over the CZW World Tag Team Division, let me say that again. They continue their dominance in the tag team division of CZW as they are still the CZW World Tag Team Champions. In the end, it was the prestigious CZW Tag Team titles and the overall year-to-date for the Hit Squad that helped them to achieve the #1 spot again. I guess that means that the Hit Squad have held the CZW Tag Team titles for a year now. And their victory over Scarlett and Graves, Desmond Xavier, and Zachary Wentz on August 13th was a good match and just put fuel to the fire to give them #1. And in my opinion, with the fact that this is the first time I have looked in the 3 weeks that I've done this, and a couple times in the past when I've actually looked into doing it before I started doing the video series, I've looked at the power rankings. This is the first time that I've actually recognized a tag team on the top 5 indie power rankings for tag teams. So good on you, the Hit Squad, for having for being in the midst of a fantastic year, and and I hope for your sake, continued success and dominance over CZW's tag team division. Now, before I call it quits for this video, I just want to say that due to changes I'm going to be making to the channel next week, this is the last time the Indie Power Rankings will be its own video, as it will be jumping in and joining a new video series I'll be kicking off next week. But for that, you'll have to be surprised, as the video will either be up anytime between Tuesday and Thursday of next week, and it's just the start of something special. So hopefully you guys enjoy me trying to intertwine other series into one big series, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know who you think in the comment section should have been on the top 5 for either the tag teams or the indies, as if you don't show some love to your favorite indie wrestlers, who will? But if you don't want to leave a comment, then you can always just leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this that you can only find right here at Wrestling Express. And by the way, thank you to the Indie Power Rankings for allowing me to use their top 5 list for this video. So I'll see you next time. Later.